As the world watched the Pittsburgh Synagogue shooting unfold, some Jews knew nothing about it. That's because it was Sabbath. And devout Jews had their phones off. When they turned them back on, after a day of rest and prayer, the world had changed. Rabbi Jordan Cohen joins us now. And Rabbi Cohen, someone encouraged you to turn it on.
Well, I decided to. I mean, we were gathered, as we do every Shabbat, every Saturday morning, our kids, our families, our adults, for study and worship, and we gathered together at the end of the morning. And it was then that somebody approached me around the afternoon to say, "Did you hear what happened in Pittsburgh?" And all of a sudden, you could see throughout the room, there's probably 100 people there, people reaching in and grabbing their phones that they probably hadn't touched since 8:30 or 9 o'clock, checking their devices, and you could just see a wave of shock going through the room. And then I didn't have mine with me, but I actually decided to go and get it and to check the news because it was just unimaginable, and I wanted to learn more.
This has hit close to home because you're a Canadian congregation in Hamilton. You've had multiple hate mails. Tell us about what you have experienced in Canada as a congregation.
Well, it's not just, in Canada, and it's not just recently. I mean, anti-Semitism is a historic reality that Jewish communities all over the world have had to deal with for thousands of years. And it's on the increase now. I mean, we were told by Hamilton Police Services that hate crimes in general are on increase and that the Jewish community is the most targeted. So we've received some really vitriolic hate mail.
You've also applied for a federal grant, and I don't think Canadians realize this, that the hate is so marked that faith groups have a special grant program to pay for half of the security on our facilities. You've now had to use it twice.
So we applied a number of years ago. It's called a SIP grant, Security Infrastructure Program, where the federal government will give matching funds for upgrades and security. So we've applied for it in the past to increase cameras around the facility, and we just received a new one recently where we're putting bollards in the front of our building so that vehicles cannot come near the building.
Tragic in my mind that we have to think about putting security around a place of faith. You have been all around the world as a rabbi.
Indeed.
You've served in Australia, you've served in Israel, obviously. How do Jews react differently to this kind of crisis?
I think it depends on the community and their historic experiences. Certainly Europe and European influenced countries. So when I was in Australia, which very much follows a sort of British model, they're very hypervigilant in their security, and they have, even within the Jewish community itself, community security groups where they provide their own sort of private security guards for institutions throughout the community. We haven't had to be that way in Canada, and we've had a fair measure of comfort, thank God. But my fear is we're headed in that direction.
Okay, and you're saying that as a Canadian who's had now 2 security grants, you've described what you're doing to increase because of the hate mails you've had. What do you think the answer for the heart is on this?
That's exactly the question I struggle with. I mean, the incredible tightrope that we're walking is wanting to maintain a balance between making sure that our community is safe and secure, but also at the same time wanting to be very much a key value for our Jewish tradition is wanting to be a welcoming and open community. And so right now, the door is locked throughout the week, and we have cameras being monitored, and people need to be buzzed when they're coming in throughout the week. We have 2 schools in our building. But the moment is in the past. On the Sabbath, the doors have been unlocked, and we are having a meeting this evening, and we have to reevaluate that policy, and that's probably going to change.